Just born, I was driven out of the clan by my parents. To kill me! They even threw me into the world's most dangerous monster dungeon to fend for myself. All because I transmigrated into a dragon egg. And not just any egg, a double yolk egg, a once-in-a-century occurrence. One egg yields 2 offspring. I thought that the moment I was born, I would stand at the pinnacle of the world. But I never expected that the Dragon Clan's custom was to raise only 1 offspring per clutch. If more than 2 dragon eggs are laid, they eat the one with the worst appearance. Although my dragon parents didn't choose to eat me, they gave me another path to death. They even contractually demanded only 1 child. The couple enjoyed the process, and the result was just a bonus. After a brief deliberation, the 2 dragons threw me into an extremely dangerous dungeon. High-ranking monsters roamed rampant, and my kind and unawakened bloodline was their favorite bloodstone. Therefore, the dragon parents had no fear of me taking revenge, and reality was just as they expected. At level 1, even staying alive here was a luxury. Though I relied on my small size to hide everywhere, avoiding those high-rank monsters, prolonged hunger made my life drain away continuously. Just as I was buzzing around like a headless fly, searching for anything edible. In the dim cave, suddenly a faint sour milk smell wafted over. Though the smell was sour, even a bit stinky, my dragon instinct told me this was the scent of food, and moreover, it was a smell only a dragon's nose could detect. At that moment, I didn't care about much else. After passing through several caves, I finally found the source of the smell. It was a spherical cavern. In the sunken center of the cave lay a giant deer, a 20-meter-long colossal beast, and it was a subspecies of level 28. The earth dragon could sneeze and blast me to death. Following the source of the smell, I could see about 3 or 4 earth dragon cubs, each about my size, greedily sucking on their mother's milk. Though earth dragons aren't true dragons, they still carry dragon blood. The key point is, as a true dragon, I could also drink the milk of a subspecies earth dragon. Using the shadows, I carefully crept to the earth dragon's belly. When I clearly saw those 4 cubs, I couldn't help but exclaim that heaven had eyes. Maybe because they had just been born. These cubs hadn't opened their eyes yet, so I didn't have to worry about being caught. Freeloading? After one last check that the subspecies earth dragon wasn't paying attention to me, I could no longer suppress the hunger. I bit down on the mother's teat and began to suck hungrily. The dozing subspecies earth dragon also gave a sudden jolt, feeling a bit puzzled. Ouch. Which kid is this, sucking so vigorously? But thinking that a baby's appetite was a good thing, as a mother, she instinctively didn't want to disturb the child eating, so she didn't open her eyes. As large amounts of milk poured down my throat, I felt a strange heat surging inside my body, which had been growing cold. Along with it, my level steadily increased. Perhaps because I had narrowly escaped death, or maybe because the earth dragon's embrace was too warm. My tense emotions relaxed. My head grew heavy and I nodded off. I fell asleep. I don't know how long passed, when a stinging pain in my neck suddenly jolted me awake from my dreams. Then a giant bucket-shaped eye, larger than my whole body, instantly filled my entire field of vision. Seeing the earth dragon's nearly flaming eyes, the only thing I could do now was pray that its chewing speed was fast enough, so the pain would be brief. So I curled up, closed my eyes, and surrendered to fate. But after waiting a long time, the imagined death never came. I opened my eyes and saw that the earth dragon wasn't looking at me. Instead, it had turned its head to examine the 4 earth dragon cubs, still nursing at its belly. Then it looked back at me. Suddenly, the earth dragon's gaze seemed to become complicated. From the initial anger, it turned to sympathy, and then revealed a hint of helplessness. Finally, after hesitating for a moment, it closed its eyes, sighed, and gently placed me back among its own cubs. I was stunned on the spot. The subspecies earth dragon paid no more attention to me, lay back down and started snoring. Meanwhile, the newly opened-eyed cubs seemed to welcome a new brother, excitedly circling me. Like 4 puppies, they sniffed and licked me. No way! Mom really wants to adopt this ugly freak. He looks so weird, like a cross between an alien and a lizard. Born that way. Listening closely, I realized they were all cursing me. I opened my mouth and roared, and in that instant, all 4 cubs froze. Obviously, they didn't expect me to speak. I hadn't expected it either. After leveling up and unlocking telepathy, I could not only understand other monsters' language, but other monsters could understand me too. And so, I spent 3 peaceful days in that cave. During that time, I got along well with the little brats. Though they often had foul mouths, that was as far as it went. They never bullied me. Verbally, they tore me down like I was some useless piece of trash, as if despising my ugly behavior of freeloading milk. But in reality, because I was the smallest and weakest, and the ugliest, every time we slept, the 4 little ones would surround me, and whenever there was any disturbance outside the cave, the 4 little ones would tightly protect me. Verbally, they said things like, "You weakling, stay back! Don't come out and cause trouble." But in reality, they were protecting me, an outsider, with their actions. Although I secretly checked their stats, they were far inferior to mine. I didn't call them out on it though. As a rare super high rank monster, not only did my level increase faster, but during this period my level skyrocketed to level 9, while the 4 Earth Dragon Cubs were only level 4. After 3 days, from the bottom of my heart, I had really come to see the subspecies, Earth Dragon family, as my own. At least they were infinitely better than my biological mother, who was so heartless. The only regret was that during this time, I had never spoken with the subspecies Earth Dragon mother. Even when I greeted her, she would at most glance aside and never answer. I thought this peaceful life would continue like this, but the next morning, a level 35 subspecies Kodo beast shattered the calm. The moment the subspecies Kodo beast barged into the cave, its 4 bloodshot eyes locked onto the 4 subspecies Earth Dragon cubs. It was clearly ravenous. Seeing this, the Earth Dragon quickly swept its tail, flinging the cubs into a corner of the cave. Then it stood in front of the Kodo beast. The two clashed immediately. Soon they were locked in battle. But facing a Kodo beast of higher level, the Earth Dragon could only be beaten back step by step. In the end, in order to protect me and its 4 children, the Kodo beast's thick horn pierced through its chest. Yet even so, the Earth Dragon's back legs still braced against the ground. Even with its chest impaled, it held the Kodo beast back. It used its claws to fiercely grip the Kodo beast's neck, then let out a roar, opened its shark-like dragon mouth, and bit viciously into the Kodo beast's back, tearing off a large chunk of flesh. Meanwhile, the cave from the collision of the 2 giants kept cracking. Rocks fell one after another. I leaped like an arrow into the air, smashing the falling rocks with my fists and feet. But the cave collapsed too fast. Just protecting the 4 cubs took all my strength. I had no spare power to help Mom. Besides, even if I did help, against a thick-skinned monster like the Kodo beast, it wouldn't make any difference. I'd only get in the way. Suddenly, the subspecies Kodo beast went berserk and charged forward. The thick horn impaling the Earth Dragon mother's chest even cracked from the brute force. The tearing chest brought unimaginable pain. The subspecies Earth Dragon mother knew in this battle she had no hope of survival. She turned her head one last time, gazing at her cubs, especially when she saw me desperately protecting them. A hint of satisfaction appeared in the Earth Dragon's eyes. "It's really good that I didn't eat you back then," as if she were saying those words. The Earth Dragon's bloodshot eyes snapped wide, and with all her remaining strength, she slammed her head into the back of the Kodo beast's skull. This headbutt was earth-shattering. The Earth Dragon's skull cracked on impact, and her jaw shattered. Even the thick-skinned Kodo beast's back of the head couldn't withstand such a suicidal attack. A huge dent was smashed in, and both giants let out wretched screams before collapsing heavily to the ground. With the battle over, the cave collapse also stopped. I quickly rushed over to the Earth Dragon's side, but her nearly shattered skull told me her death was certain. "Child, how are my children?" This was the first time I heard the subspecies Earth Dragon mother speak. Her life was like a candle in the wind. Her crushed jaw made her words very slurred. Facing her question, I suppressed the guilt in my heart. Because her 4 cubs were dead, all crushed by falling rocks. Too many rocks had fallen. Even though I did my best, I couldn't block all the falling boulders. The Earth Dragon's final headbutt caused a large cave-in, although I barely survived. The 4 cubs, and the days I lived with them were still vivid in my mind. Had even come to see them as siblings. Just minutes ago, they were lively, and now they were all dead beneath the rubble. My children, are they okay? The Earth Dragon mother's eyes were already crushed. With her last breath, she asked worriedly, her tone full of love for her children. Instantly, a tidal wave of guilt exploded in my chest like a bomb. I clenched my teeth so hard they nearly cracked. Forcing down the grief, I said in the gentlest tone I could, "They're fine, they just fainted. They're all okay." Really, hearing this, the Earth Dragon mother's face finally showed a relieved smile. "After I die, eat me." Her words stunned me. "We are born in the dungeon. It's a curse from birth, so no resource can be wasted. This is the last nourishment I can give the children. I don't know why a super high-rank monster like you came to the dungeon, but since I raised you, please take care of my children in the future." The trembling Earth Dragon mother couldn't continue any further. She exhaled her final breaths and completely lost life. To the very end, her face bore the joyful expression of knowing her children were safe. She died peacefully. Before my knees, the ground was soaked in blood seeping into the earth. The cave was silent as death. I opened my mouth wide but couldn't even let out a sob, because crying out would attract more monsters. But my heart felt like a stone was blocking it, suffocating. the earth dragon who adopted me. The 4 cubs I lived with day and night had in an instant become 5 corpses. The first time Mom spoke to me also became the last. At this moment, an unprecedented sense of powerlessness hit me like a flood. However, reality didn't give me time to dwell in grief. With a deafening moo, the subspecies Kodo beast, which should have been dead, actually stood up trembling. With its crushed head, the restanding Kodo beast let out a victor's roar. In its eyes, the only remaining tiny dragon cub in front of it posed no threat at all. But do you know what the happiest thing is? Since I was thrown into this damn dungeon, I lowered my head, my dragon claws forming fists. Facing this behemoth, my trembling voice held not a trace of fear. It was filled only with excitement. It's that I can kill you with my own hands. I roared and charged straight at the subspecies Kodo beast. The Kodo beast thought it was over, ready to enjoy this hard-earned meal. But it didn't expect the last cub, with the most vigorous life essence, would actually charge head-on and launch a fierce attack. Though its injuries were severe, piercing its thick hide was still a pipe dream for me at the moment, but there was still a way. The path to victory had actually already been paved by Mom. The method to break its defense was the wound Mom had torn open on its back. I roared, turning into a streak of light, rushing straight at the back of the Kodo beast's head. My claws extended to the maximum, and with a fierce stab, I savagely tore the wound open. The images of Mom who had been silent these 3 days, and the 4 brats fighting over food, sleeping together, flashed before my eyes like a lantern. The boiling killing intent swelled to an unprecedented level. In my mind there was nothing but killing this Kodo beast for revenge. No other thoughts. 3 or 4 hours later, I came before the corpse of the subspecies Earth Dragon Mother. My dragon claws gently rested on her body, feeling the remaining warmth of Mom. I didn't indulge too much in sorrow. The dungeon doesn't believe in tears. As Mom said, monsters born in the dungeon are cursed from birth. Dying at any time is not strange. I only regret not being able to save the 4 siblings. Mom, I will live on for you and for them. I will live well. My lips trembled, but I didn't shed a single tear. I opened my mouth and bit into Mom's flesh, tearing off a piece and eating it, forcing back sobs. I swallowed it along with my tears. The flesh of family was so bitter, but I had to force it down. Even if I wanted to vomit, I couldn't spit it out. I had no choice. Otherwise, the smell of blood would attract other monsters, and in the end, I would be eaten too. 3 days later, I walked out of the cave. Though my level was only 18, due to the growth advantage of a super high-rank monster, I could now rival a level 30 low-rank monster. My claws cracked like exploding beans. A nearly perfect crooked grin curled on my lips. Like a war god, I looked out at the endless dungeon. There are 3 monsters around. Perfect, I'm hungry again. With that, I took my first step toward breaking out of the dungeon. 5 days had passed since I left the cave. The nearby area's minotaurs had been completely wiped out by me. My level had increased to over 20, but my current level was maxed out, unable to gain further experience points. Please choose an evolution direction as soon as possible. Unlock new level cap. Dragon Standard Evolution Path. Can accommodate more magical power. Small Dragon General Evolution Path. Sensory and movement become more agile. Wicked Dragon Alternative Evolution Path. Survive for a period in harsh environments. Has a chance to unlock. Possesses stronger vitality and agility, but will affect the growth potential of magical power and physique. Looking at the sudden prompt, I roughly understood the rules. Every 20 levels was a tier. To go further, I had to choose an evolution. But just as I was pondering which evolution to pick, a strong oppressive aura suddenly came from behind. My danger sense instantly tightened. I looked around and saw that somehow, no fewer than 20 subspecies, Kodo beasts had surrounded me, and behind them stepped out a terrifyingly giant Kodo beast. Target combat specialized subspecies Kodo beast. Leader level 88 type rare quasi mid-rank monster. This string of data made me wary. Judging by the setup, the Kodo beast leader had deliberately set a trap, luring me into the encirclement. But what puzzled me was, we had no grudges at all. Why would the Kodo beast suddenly come after me? Then something occurred to me. I opened telepathy to communicate. The Kodo beast leader first snorted coldly, then said, I didn't expect the one poaching food in our territory recently to be such a little thing like you. Hearing this, I was completely sure. Minotaurs were the Kodo beast's main food, and I had to train my early combat skills, and because of my gluttony skill, had an abnormally large appetite. So in recent days I had been hunting minotaurs, drastically reducing their numbers in the area. This directly caused the Kodo beast nearby to run out of food. But thinking this over, I shrugged my shoulders. A good man is bullied, a good horse is ridden. That saying is truth in the dungeon. Be sneaky when you need to be, but when it's time to be tough, never back down. Now was the time to be tough. I planted my hands on my hips, tilted my head, and said, "Yeah, I ate them. Didn't your Kodo beast eat my mom too? If you want to fight, I'm game." With that, my whole body blazed with cyan blue light, assuming a stance as if I was about to have a huge battle. But in reality, I was already thinking about how to escape. The Kodo beast leader clearly never expected that a little thing smaller than its front tooth would be so arrogant. So it roared and stepped forward, activating the skill Ground Shrink. The Kodo beast leader's enormous body appeared in front of me instantly, like teleportation. Then, the dozens of surrounding Kodo beasts roared together, and I felt my limbs' sense of touch instantly stripped away. I couldn't move an inch. If I were hit by a Kodo beast, far above my level, I would surely die. At that moment, countless strategies flashed through my mind, but all were rejected without exception. Helpless. There was no chance of survival. But just then, earth-shattering roars came from all directions, along with a pure blue beam of light. The defenseless Kodo beast leader was instantly engulfed by the 10-meter-wide beam, and dozens of nearby Kodo beasts didn't even have time to scream. Engulfed the nearby treetops. The Kaduo beast didn't even have time to scream. It was all burned to ashes. The light beam and roar lasted for a full minute, before gradually dissipating. As the heat wave faded, from afar, a rhythmic footstep suddenly came from the distance. The sound was as if a great mountain had grown legs, every step causing the ground to tremble violently. Sensing all this, my sixth sense immediately sounded a red alert. I quickly ran to a nearby rock to take cover. As the footsteps gradually drew near, I mustered all the courage of 2 lifetimes and turned to look back. Instantly, my heart stopped. A figure as towering as a mountain range came into view. What I first saw was not his appearance, but the skill, the first piece of data displayed by Truth. Target Leviathan, level 355 type super high rank behemoth. Its terrifying attributes were such that aside from level and rank, Truth simply could not detect any other values. Even more terrifying was that I saw below the Truth data 2 hints given like this. Notice, this creature is the final boss of the Eastern Underground City. Please do your utmost to avoid engaging it in battle. Warning, do not attempt to use mental connection to communicate with it. As the footsteps grew farther and farther, until I could no longer hear them at all, it was then that I finally let out my first breath. Carefully recalling the feeling just now, I remember that although I was facing away from Leviathan, when he was closest to me, I did feel an icy gaze like a shard of ice. And the only reason I'm still alive is probably because I wasn't standing in his path. Just like a person stepping on an ant while walking, not because the ant blocked the way, but because the ant didn't know better and happened to be under the person's foot. Obviously, the leader of the Kodo beasts was that ant. I didn't have time to think it through. Why the final boss of the Eastern Underground City would appear on the first floor? Now, the most important thing is that this place is not suitable for staying long. But at this moment, my right leg was also injured by the shockwave just now. After thinking it over, I still decided to evolve here. After confirming there were no other monsters nearby, I reopened the evolution options. Although the cocoon path is the most orthodox evolution, it would cause the body to become larger, not suitable in the narrow underground city, so I couldn't consider it. In the end, I decided to choose the deterioration cocoon, because from an attribute standpoint, although the deterioration cocoon also degrades the bloodline, essentially it is still a cocoon. And in the future, it can still be re-optimized back into a cocoon. Moreover, the attributes of the deterioration cocoon are more balanced. In the ever-changing underground city survival, what is often needed is not a specific skill plan, but more survival strategies. Thinking of this, I closed my eyes and pressed the deterioration cocoon option with my consciousness confirming evolution command received. Evolution will be completed within 10 seconds, accompanied by Truth's friendly notification tone. I only felt a warm current spreading from my heart throughout my body. The pain, cold, and dizziness from blood loss disappeared. Frequently, the body quickly filled with hot blood. The old skin began to shed. New scales began to grow. This wonderful feeling ended before I could savor it carefully. The low level had increased to a body size of 80 centimeters. After the regeneration completed, it shrank to about 60 centimeters. But the strength was much fuller than before, and the sky blue dragon scales turned dark purple, looking much more durable. In addition, all my attributes also improved. With the increase in dragon senses and perception, I could now clearly feel that because of Leviathan's presence, the number of monsters on the entire first floor of the underground city was plummeting. The surviving monsters were also scattering like birds and beasts. Although I didn't know why the holy ranked boss, Leviathan, came to the first floor, I knew that the first floor was about to change. Thinking this, I decided to go to the second floor of the underground city now. Not long after the nanny left, I had actually already found the entrance to the second floor. The reason I didn't didn't head straight over was also because once I go to the second floor, I can't return to the first floor. Although I had no idea how Leviathan came up, if it hadn't been absolutely necessary, I wouldn't have gone to the second floor so early. A few minutes later, I arrived at the cave entrance. Holding my nose and closing my eyes, I jumped straight down. After a long fall, I thought I could land smoothly, but a piece of human armor fragment gave me an indescribably painful shock. However, this made me realize one thing. That is the dominant creatures of this world. Are they really humans? Since birth, I had never seen a human. But just as I was pondering, about 7 or 8 meters behind me, suddenly came a very faint rustling sound. Thinking some monster was about to ambush me, I was startled and quickly turned around. But turning around didn't matter. Once I turned, my heart began to flutter. I saw that in the corner of a dead-end alley not far away, there was actually a petite girl hiding. The first human I've encountered since my reincarnation, and such a beautiful girl at that. Couldn't help but make me a lifelong shut-in for 2 lifetimes. Have some unrealistic fantasies, but unexpectedly, just as I was about to speak, the girl fell to the ground in terror. She flailed her legs against the ground, desperately trying to retreat and escape. But behind her was a stone wall not far away, with no place to retreat. This reaction confused me. Logically, my plump, adorable baby dragon appearance should be very appealing to girls. I lowered my body, using the same approach as calming a stray cat on the street. Approaching the girl, I mean no harm, I just want to ask how you got here, okay? Hearing me speak, the girl became even more frightened, muttering something continuously under her breath. Fight with all 9 lives. If I don't fight, I'll surely die. Or Golden Pavilion Master, grant me strength, and other incomprehensible words. I was getting anxious, trying to approach and explain clearly, but as soon as I got within 2 meters of the girl, she suddenly lashed out, putting all her strength into a roundhouse kick because I was completely unprepared. And the distance was close. This attack, which seemed like slow motion, I miraculously failed to react in time. The kick landed squarely on the weakest part of my head, the temple unprotected by scales, and then my vision showed this HP -1. I couldn't help but remark how weak. It felt like someone lightly poked me with a finger. After opening Truth to check the girl's stats, I realized she was pathetically weak. Target Martial None, level 19. Type Common Human Female Breeding Value Good. Such attributes couldn't even survive on the first floor. I don't know how she got to the second floor. At this moment, the girl was squatting on the ground holding her leg, looking very pained. Her kick not only failed to harm me, but caused her right leg to be severely sprained. But the next second, the girl ignored her leg injury and ran frantically toward a nearby hole. Seeing this, I was shocked. I wanted to chase after her, but the descending blood bats and blood orbs blocked me again and again because monsters in the underground city track prey by life essence. This means that weak humans clearly do not match their appetite. They all swarmed toward me. Although this didn't affect me much, it caused me to completely lose track of the girl. I felt despair. A perfectly good girl just ran away like that. How was I supposed to get my rusty spear standing tall again? After 5 days, I gradually got used to life on the second floor. Unlike the first floor, the monsters on the second floor began to diversify. Almost every day, I encountered several types of monsters I'd never seen before, including humans, of course. Except the humans I encountered were all corpses or remains. I still had that girl on my mind, but that wasn't due to my perverted nature acting up, mainly because she was human. Over this period, I found human remains on the second floor more than once. I even discovered a large number of footprints left by humans. Judging by the numbers, it was at least a group of 200 to 300 people. Regardless, I really hope to find these people because the environment of the underground city is clearly unsuitable for human survival. Since they dared to enter the underground city, it meant they also had the corresponding confidence to leave at any time. At least logically that makes sense. That was exactly what I dreamed of. But unfortunately, I've been trying to track human traces for days, but with no results. Even if I could find something, it was just one ruin after another. However, just as I got up to leave this place, a sharp chill like needles suddenly hit my back. I was startled instinctively. Without even time to turn my head, I dodged by side rolling out of reflex. A highly compressed air blade grazed over my head, leaving 4 deep vertical cuts on the rock wall, like paper scratched by a cat. I didn't have time to think further. I immediately used the acute hearing provided by my dragon senses and caught a small creature not far away, approaching me at an astonishing speed. By the time I reacted, the creature was less than 50 centimeters behind me. My scalp went numb. Without even time to turn around, I dodged again with a sidestep. The beast's sharp claws scraped past the dragon scales on my face by a hair's breadth. After rolling to the side, I realized that there were already 4 wounds on my face. Blood dyed most of my face red. 2 strikes and you're still alive. No wonder you dared to intrude on my territory. Seems you have some skill after all. Just then, a girl's voice came from the darkness. The beast-like figure hid in the shadows, licked the blood off its paw, and then stood up on its hind legs like a human. Looks like you have the mental connection skill, right? That means we can communicate. But anyway, since you entered my territory, don't expect to leave alive. Although I couldn't see its face clearly, I could clearly sense that the monster was sneering at me. Say that. The figure lunged at me at incredible speed, so fast it was hard to catch with the naked eye. With its single power, it actually created the feeling of dozens of people surrounding me. I never thought I would encounter such a troublesome enemy, although as long as I defend my vital points and not get one-shotted, I won't die in the short term. But this monster's incredible speed left me almost helpless. Being dragged out like this, I would eventually be worn down. And clearly the opponent came with murderous intent. Want to run not so easy. Facing this hopeless situation, I decisively opened Truth's skill tree diagram. I had actually studied this function over the past few days. Seemed complicated, but most of it were upgrades or derivatives of a certain skill without unlocking the prerequisite skill. You cannot unlock the following skill, and the initial skill tree skills I already knew by heart, exactly for situations like this. Unlock Dragon Perception costs 1 unlock point, unlock Mental Focus costs 1 unlock point, unlock Pulse costs 5 unlock points. As streams of light passed over the skill tree diagram, the skills representing Dragon Intuition and Mental Focus lit up. My eyes opened wide. In an instant, the world in my eyes changed. Although this skill is at best just slightly more precise than the sixth sense, it can be decisive in actual combat. I threw a punch, striking fiercely at the air behind me. A bang was heard, and an afterimage was sent flying by my fist. The dark shadow was greatly startled. He couldn't understand why this dragon that moments ago was being beaten with no chance to fight back suddenly increased its speed to such an extent. Without a word, I spewed dragon breath. The monster didn't even have time to scream. Before a torrent of blue flames instantly engulfed the entire underground cavern, I gasped for breath, quickly checking my own stats. The consumption was considerable, but at this moment I couldn't care about that, because I noticed my experience points hadn't changed at all, meaning the opponent hadn't died yet. This made my heart jump. Taking a direct hit from a point-blank dragon breath is no small matter. I stepped forward until I saw the burnt monster in the corner. Only then did my suspended heart relax, but when I saw its face clearly, my heart clenched painfully. Mutant Catfox M-Type Race Legendary Middle Rank Monster Morph. Legendary Middle Rank Monster Morph. Breeding value extremely high. Looking at the pop-up info panel, an unprecedented pang of regret filled my chest. I almost killed a cat girl. I thought my spear would never stand tall again, but unexpectedly a cat fox that attacked me out of nowhere changed my mind. Cat foxes are common monsters on the second floor of the underground city. They look similar to cats, but the face is closer to human and they have 2 tails. This should be very common for ordinary monsters, but I never expected that today I would encounter a cat that had morphed into human form. Except for cat ears and tail, its whole body looked human in every way. Although more than 80% of its body was burnt, I could still see the original appearance of this humanoid monster. It was very much to my taste, making me, who is usually ruthless in combat, feel some reluctance, and even sparked in me curiosity and longing for life creation. What, not killing me, meow? The cat girl glared at me fiercely, making me momentarily at a loss. After long consideration, I finally thought of a somewhat acceptable reason. Cat meat doesn't taste good. It's sour and gamey, and I don't like you saying that about my hairstyle. The cat fox snorted coldly. Think I look weak? Meow, so you pity me and can't bear to kill me. If you don't kill me now, next time I'll kill you. I didn't take her threat to heart, but I was a bit curious. Why did you attack me just now? You see, I always release level 2 Dragon Aura 24/7. Although this skill has no lethality, it can tell other monsters that I'm not easy to mess with, so normally monsters wouldn't dare attack me. Seeing she didn't answer, I repeated the question sternly. The earlier question. The cat girl glared at me unwillingly. You entered my territory and took a dump in my territory. Meow, if not you, who should I attack? Hearing this, I was slightly stunned, recalling that I came to this cave earlier. Indeed was to do that. But this is an underground city. Do animal instincts from the outside world really apply in the underground city? Even if we concede that do female cats have territorial awareness? Over such a trivial matter, I found it a bit unbelievable. What do you mean trivial? The cat girl became furious. You're so strong. On the second floor, you should be a top-tier boss monster too. Don't you know such basic common sense? Actually, I've only been in the underground city less than a month. Hearing this, the cat fox was shocked. Impossible. The outside world is so nice. roaming free in the forest. Some even get chosen by humans to become mounts, living a life of ease. Meow, why would you come to this crappy underground city? Is the outside world good? The cat fox's words made me think of monsters. Monsters in the forest may have food and shelter, but without the harsh training of the underground city, they become completely defenseless when hunted by humans in large numbers, utterly powerless. As for becoming human mounts, maybe some people would cherish and treat their mounts well, but most are deprived of freedom, then ruthlessly exploited for value. No different from broiler chickens in a coop. In my 1 month in the underground city, my biggest feeling is that the underground city is a monster's purgatory, but also their home. I naturally couldn't be bothered to explain that to her. At this moment, the cat girl started writhing in pain again. What are you waiting for? Meow, I lost. Kill me then. Do you enjoy watching me suffer? The cat fox's voice held no fear. On the contrary, it carried a sense of finally finding release. This reminded me of what Nanny says. We monsters are born in the underground city. We are natural lords. All along, I rarely used mental connection for fear of understanding the dying pleas of monsters, making me soft-hearted. After all, I still have a human heart inside, with basic sympathy and pity. But this feeling sometimes can get me killed, and now perhaps it was lust clouding my judgment, or maybe other reasons. Facing the cat girl's pitiful look, I hesitated, but I wasn't stupid enough to let her go, only to be killed by her someday. However, just as I raised my dragon claw to strike, a loud crash interrupted my descending claw. Then the entire second floor of the underground city began to shake violently as if spinning. Those humans are at it again. Really not afraid of death, Meow? The cat fox quickly grabbed a nearby rock to prevent herself from being knocked away. Hearing the cat fox's words, my heart stirred. I quickly asked, what humans? Some time ago, humans came to raid the underground city again, and again were routed by the second floor boss. A few humans who seemed to be leaders escaped with the youngest batch, leaving some stronger ones stuck on the second floor. During this time, they kept trying to conquer the second floor, but how could they be a match for the boss? Every time they lost many people, this reaction is so big. Probably all the remaining ones are going to stake their lives. These few sentences mentioned several names I cared most about. Just as I was about to ask further, the rock wall beside me suddenly burst open. A handsome young man wielding a golden greatsword crashed through the wall, rolling down beside me and the cat fox. Seeing a human for the first time, I was shocked, and the young man immediately saw me and the cat fox. His face instantly froze. He immediately shouted toward the direction of the broken wall, loudly. Captain, there are accompanying monsters here. I'll handle them. You focus on the monster. After saying that, he assumed a stance of, it's either you die or I die. His gaze full of enmity as if we were mortal enemies confused me. Just as I was about to explain, I didn't expect that upon hearing I could still speak. The young man became even more excited. His face instantly beaded with cold sweat, and he started muttering under his breath. A mythical beast and a juvenile monster. If we don't eliminate it here, the next time we raid the dungeon will mean facing retribution. None of us will survive. So to pave the way for those who come after, even if we have to risk our luck, this monster must be eliminated. I felt like 10,000 alpacas were stampeding through my heart. Your imagination is so grand. I'm almost moved to tears, damn it. Are you even listening to me? The young man's greatsword trembled, and a surging wave of battle intent burst forth from every pore in his body. The energy released from within surged over tenfold. Then he lunged forward like an arrow, shooting straight toward me like a bolt from the bow. Target Holy Knight level 32 once. Class type Elite Human. Most of this guy's stats were higher than mine. If I were at full strength, I could easily take him down with my skills. But I'm injured now. I don't stand a chance in a head-on fight. After only 2 seconds of hesitation, I sidestepped his incoming slash, grabbed the cat demon over my shoulder, and dashed away from the boss and the young man. But the cat demon obviously hadn't expected me to charge over out of nowhere, throw her over my shoulder, and run off. Let go. What are you trying to do? Meow, I won't have your babies, meow. The still confused cat started biting and scratching at my bald head. Shut up, I yelled. Then I reached out with one hand and pinched the back of her neck. Her face instantly flushed bright red. Her only remaining ear drooped down. Her body froze as if paralyzed. Meanwhile, the human youth behind me had already caught up his golden sword and bronze intention closing in. I dodged to the side, evading his slashes, and couldn't help cursing in my heart if I were at full strength. How could a small fry like you be chasing me around? Exhausted, I could only look up and force a bitter smile using every ounce of strength to run. So it went 1 UN, 1 dragon. 1 ahead, 1 behind. Like 2 streaks of light weaving through the dungeon, a fierce chase unfolded. I thought the young man would give up after a while, but to my surprise, after 2.5 hours of chasing, he was clearly at the end of his rope. yet he still wouldn't give up. At this point, a surge of determination rose in my heart. If nothing unexpected happens, his next strike will be his last, and the most ferocious one. If he stops here, I can just leave to be safe and not waste precious stamina, but if he really dares to go all out, I'll definitely blow his head off. Unfortunately, just as I made that decision and waited to see how the young man would react, the young man let out a loud cry and poured all of his lapis lazuli power into his blade, pouring all his battle intent into the great golden sword. Facing the young man's desperate attack, I sighed helplessly, stopped in my tracks, put down the cat from my shoulder, and turned to face the enormous sword aura that came pressing down like a wall. Unlocked limitless consumption. Unlocked skill invincibility level 1. At that moment, I turned into a cannonball and shot straight through the sword aura. The unstoppable sword aura was instantly torn apart like paper. A spiral breach punched through it. The young man never imagined that the monster that had been fleeing in panic moments ago would suddenly launch such an attack. Nor did he expect that his attack, which had poured all his battle aura and magic, would be so easily pierced. But the unlucky man never got a chance to understand. With a loud bang, my hard headbutt landed squarely on the young man, making him let out a heart-wrenching scream. His whole body spun like a fan and flew off, smashing through several thick stone pillars, until he crashed into a stone wall deeply embedded. But once the invincibility effect wore off, at that moment, my whole body went limp like melted butter. I thought I could finally catch my breaths, but a series of level-up notifications threw me back into wonder. Ever since I evolved, gaining experience had become harder, and the experience multiplier had increased. It had been a long time since I last leveled up. This human had combat power roughly equal to Kodos' video game level. Yet such a weak human actually let me level up 6 times. From first evolution LV11 to LV17, a total of nearly 12,000 experience points. It felt like the system was encouraging me to kill people. Ding main quest activated, defeat floor 2 boss. Kill Medusa's hand. Quest reward 50 unlock points. Startled by that voice, I was shocked. Considering all my battles up to now, I had earned 9 deaths worth of points, plus the 5 points just now. I only had 35 unlock points in total, and this one quest gives a full 50 points. Just then, the cat demon's voice came from behind. I turned around and saw her covered in wounds, staring at me like I was a monster. Meow, why is it that the moment you killed that human, all your injuries healed up? And your aura, why did it suddenly increase so much? The cat demon was bewildered. Normally monsters grow like normal creatures and follow a gradual progression. But this dragon-shaped monster in front of her had merely killed one human. Not only were its injuries healed, its strength had also skyrocketed instantly. She had never seen such a monster before. Facing the cat demon's horrified questioning, I kept a calm face and said, "Do you want to die here? Or come with me to kill the floor boss?" Hearing this, the cat demon immediately doubted whether her ears were working properly. "Are you crazy, Meow? He's the floor boss." "Because it can't move. It's permanently stationed at the entrance to floor 3. Suddenly, the cat demon seemed to understand something. She looked at me in shock. After a long pause, she finally asked, "You don't mean you want to kill Medusa's hand and go to floor 3 of the dungeon, do you?" I didn't answer. I just smiled and nodded, confirming it. The cat demon ignored her wounds and shouted, "With your current strength, even I could crush you easily, Meow. As long as you don't provoke Medusa's hand, you can dominate floor 2. Why go on a suicide mission?" "Meow, you mentioned those humans earlier, that you wanted to clear the boss to leave the dungeon." "Right, as soon as I said that, the cat demon instantly understood my meaning. You really want to leave the dungeon?" I grinned. "So it seems that going deeper really is the way to leave the dungeon. Come on, tell me how to get out." "You're tricking me into talking." "So what if I am?" "You've already said it, so why not just explain it clearly?" "Why should I help you?" the cat demon asked fiercely. "Fine, you don't have to tell me. Anyway, I have a skill that can invade your brain, but it causes extreme pain." Hearing that, the cat demon's face turned pale. Skills like that weren't uncommon in the dungeon. Starting from floor 3, some psychic-type monsters use such skills. The cat demon began to hesitate. I pressed my advantage. "If you tell me and cooperate with me, I'll not only spare your life, but also heal your wounds." The carrot and stick approach. I know it well, the memory extraction skill. I really do have it, but it costs 20 unlock points. If possible, I don't want to waste these precious points. Hearing this, the cat demon's ear twitched. After a long time, she looked back at me warily. "Are you telling the truth, Meow?" I thumped my chest. A gentleman's promise is as fast as a horse. From the cat demon's story, I learned that there are many ways to enter and leave the dungeon. The most common for humans is space transfer magic. But that magic is very hard for monsters to learn. For monsters who accidentally fall into the dungeon, there's only one way to leave. Clear from floor 1 to floor 5. Kill the final boss of floor 5, and you can leave the dungeon to the outside world. When the cat demon said that, my heart was in my throat, because back on floor 1, I had already seen the Leviathan of floor 5, thinking of that almost unshakable power. And the truth, that the system showed a string of question marks for its data, I couldn't help but tremble. Judging by your reaction, you've seen Leviathan before, meow. The cat demon said sarcastically. I nodded, then asked in confusion, didn't you say that each floor of the dungeon is an independent space, and monsters can't roam freely? That doesn't apply to Leviathan. Meow, it's the mount of a mythical god from ancient times. The strongest creature across the entire dungeon. It can freely enter and leave any floor. No one can stop it. Even if Leviathan were given, no one could block him. He stays in the dungeon, only because he wants to guard this place. So you wanting to leave the dungeon is nothing but wishful thinking, meow. Saying this, the cat demon seemed to have exhausted herself and collapsed to the ground gasping heavily because of her serious injuries. Her HP was constantly draining. At this rate, she'd be dead in 10 minutes. Seeing her on the verge of death, I thought it over and used 4 unlock points to unlock the healing skill and water condensation, healing all of the cat demon's wounds. She sprang up from the ground, staring at her own paws in disbelief. What did you do? I didn't waste time with her, and said directly, I can't promise you'll get out of the dungeon, but at least I can ensure you live comfortably on floor 2. Will you join me? The cat demon was still in shock. She looked blankly at this creature, uncertain whether it was a black dragon or a black dog. After a long time, she finally spoke. You mean to kill Medusa's hand? I nodded. Your strength is impressive. You're the strongest monster I've encountered on floor 2 so far. Hearing that, the cat demon puffed up with pride. Of course. Meow! On floor 2, besides that bitch Medusa, I'm the strongest. But then, the cat demon suddenly changed her tone. But why should I take the risk with you? If you kill Medusa's hand, you'll become the boss of floor 2. You'll be the queen here. Doesn't that sound awesome? When I said that, the cat demon's ear twitched again. She lowered her head and muttered the words boss and queen to herself. After a long while, she lifted her flushed face and said, fine. Since you saved me, I'll help you out this once. By the way, are you a dragon or a dog? I'm a dragon. What about it? Meow, you look too much like a dog. Maybe you're a dog. Little black dog, big belly. Head like a dog, too. From now on, I'll call you Dog Thing. I was speechless. Aren't you a cat? You dragged that human for ages before killing him, and you called me childish with no sense of shame. Or do you want me to have your babies? I'm only a month old. My fur hasn't even grown in. I pinched my aching temples. Fine. Call me whatever. What's your name? Name. The cat demon blinked. I don't have a name. Monsters in the dungeon don't have names. There's no need. I thought for a moment. All right then. You call me Dog Thing, so I'll call you Cat South North. Okay. Hearing that, the cat demon's tail immediately started slapping the ground. What kind of name is Cat South North? Let's go. I started walking, swaying from side to side. The cat demon grumbled. Actually, I do have a name. Then she dashed after me in a single bound. A few minutes later, we reached the junction between floor 2 and floor 3. Watching the human soldiers, still fighting Medusa's hand, I decided to wait and see, scooping the spoils. Ever since I arrived in the dungeon, I noticed that monsters here don't have the concept of leveling up, or skills. Leveling up was just a byproduct of living. Skills were just a means to survive. Killing was only for eating and filling their stomachs. So except for freaks like Cat South North, most monsters just grew stronger the longer they lived. The higher their level, as the floor 2 boss. Medusa's hand had lived at least 500 years, even though it couldn't move. It was like a fixed turret, guarding the stairway from floor 2 to floor 3. Any human trying to clear floor 2, and any monster heading to higher floors, had to pass through the boss's area. So by holding this spot, prey would come endlessly, watching those humans, each one seemingly unafraid of death, launch fierce attacks at Medusa's hand, then fall one by one. Judging by the numbers, there had originally been at least a 200-man raid group attacking Medusa's hand, but now only a dozen or so were still alive. These humans are so dumb, meow. They know they can't win yet they keep coming to die. Cat South North watched as if watching a show, delighted. I kept my face expressionless. I didn't care about these humans' lives. I just hoped they'd be even more reckless and drain more of Medusa's hand's HP. After all, Medusa's hand's stats were terrifying. If I faced it at full strength, I'd have 0 chance. Target Medusa's hand. LV-112 type rare super guard monster. Except for physical defense and agility being 0, all other stats far exceeded my own. an almost invincible monster. My chances against it were practically zero. Only now, the human army's human wave tactic had failed. But Medusa's hand had also taken some damage. For a long time to come, Medusa's hand would probably never be as weakened as it was now. Moreover, I didn't intend to let all the humans die here. They could still be useful alive. At this moment, the human side was down to only 9 people. Taking this time, my mind raced, simulating all possible tactics. Medusa's hand had perception of 8,000. A sneak attack was absolutely impossible. But in a frontal fight, even though it was heavily worn down, I still had no chance. In the end, I decided to put all my unlock points into Comet Strike, then unleash the most violent attack at once, shaving off its HP, then wear it down with a drawn-out battle of attrition. That was the only way to win. Comet Strike upgraded to LV5. Unlocked Weak Point Break. Victory or defeat hinges on this move. Win and I can afford to pamper it. Lose and it's a sacrifice to the sea. After the fight with the young knight, and observing the battle so far, I was certain these humans were all fearless in the face of death. In a desperate situation, they would launch a final suicide attack. Just as I was thinking that, the remaining 9 humans helped each other stand up and shouted in unison. 9 red lights suddenly lit up the empty floor blinding white. I knew my chance had come. After exchanging a glance with Cat South North, I leaped forward, moving carefully along the shadows. I crept close to Medusa's hand's limit. Meanwhile, the humans on the field kept dying, one after another until only 3 remained. Under the protection of a comrade who used his body as a shield, the last 2 humans finally rushed to Medusa's hands. Sidon leaping up, drove their spear and sword deep into Medusa's hand's abdomen. Medusa's hand let out a hysterical scream. Because its physical defense was 0, these 2 weak humans attack directly drained over 1,000 HP. At the same time, the beast form Cat South North seized the moment, turned into a silver streak of light, and attacked Medusa's hand's tongue. But against Medusa's hand's perception of over 8,000, it was still far too slow. Nearly half of the snakeheads instantly swiveled around, as if they knew where the attack would come from. I thought it was someone, but it's the eternal second raider trying to scoop the spoils. Perfect timing, I've been wanting to eat you for a long time. That's what Medusa's hand thought in that instant. But what it didn't expect was that besides the humans and the cat, there was a third party on the field, me using Weak Point Break. In my sight, several red light spots appeared on Medusa's hand's body. These spots were its physiological weaknesses. If hit, they would deal maximum damage. Comet Strike Pulse. I had already been charging and now I stepped out. Countless pieces of rubble flew up around me. My whole body turned into a cannonball, melting the stone pillars in my path into magma. LV5 Comet Strike Pulse converts all stats by a factor of 4 into attack power. The full power Comet Strike Pulse had unimaginable power. Its speed even surpassed Cat South North ahead of me. All of Medusa's hand's snakeheads were focused on the humans and the cat. My sudden appearance caught it completely off guard. The snakeheads didn't even have time to withdraw before I slammed into them head-on. High temperature and pressure tore those pythons apart on the spot. With a loud boom, Medusa's hand let out a strange scream that sounded like 1,000 people crying out at once. This attack directly caved in the back of its skull. Its massive body, which hadn't moved in 400 years, was blown back 100 meters and embedded deep into the rock wall, then fell limply to the ground. At that moment, I didn't bother to heal myself. I quickly looked into the distance, at Medusa's hand in the dust, until I saw its HP bar turn empty. Only then did I relax. The 2 surviving humans nearby stared at the scene in a daze, unable to believe they had been saved by a monster. Ronin, we're alive. The floor 2 boss is dead. The young human knight stared fixedly at the dragon-shaped creature. Yeah, it looks like 2 monsters fought each other, and we survived. The other older knight lieutenant spoke with deep joy. What do we do now? The young knight named Zhang Yue asked. The knight named Ronin frowned with displeasure, and a murderous glint gradually appeared in his joyful eyes. Regardless, a monster is a monster. This dragon-shaped monster is small, but I can feel the pressure emitting from within it. If it's allowed to grow, it will become a danger to us humans. With that, the knight named Ronin picked up a broken sword from the ground and limped toward the dragon-like creature in front of him. There's no way we'll leave this godforsaken place alive. Killing both Medusa's hand and this dragon monster is the greatest contribution we can make for future generations. The young knight named Zhang Yue, hearing this, though hesitant, but still he picked up the weapon from the ground. He could hear every word they said clearly. The phrase "return kindness with ingratitude" is used to describe these 2 humans. However, I didn't take it to heart, because this was all within the plan. The satellite strike drained all my stamina. In such a state, the best way to recover is to level up, and humans provide both experience and plenty of it. I had already planned to kill them to restore my condition. If they had shown gratitude, I would have felt a twinge of conscience, making it hard to strike, so ingratitude was actually what I wanted. However, just as the two knights were about to act, and I was ready to counterattack, suddenly I heard a loud crash. Just now, the rock wall shattered by Medusa's hand suddenly burst open. A python emerged, biting a human named Roland in half at the waist. I naturally recognized this python. It was the hair of Medusa's hand. Only then did I suddenly realize something. After killing Medusa's hand, why hadn't my experience points increased at all? Hearing the hissing of snakes all around, my long-developed crisis awareness in the dungeon made me react instantly. A dragon claw pierced through Zhang Yue's heart, completing the level up, instantly restoring my state to peak. What's going on? Meow didn't. Medusa's hand already die. Why are these snakes still alive? My scalp instantly tingled. It was only then that I understood Medusa's hand. That human-headed form was actually a fake. Medusa's hand actually had multiple lives. Its true body was the hundreds of python demons on its head, and the head was just a connector for them to link and regenerate. At that moment, hundreds of python demons split into two groups. Half rushed at me, half attacked Mao Nanbei. These python demons were numerous, and could attack from any angle at any time. And the worst part was, the hundreds of python demons were considered a single entity. Killing a few of them would cause it no loss at all, but there was still a way. I casually tore a python demon into pieces, then looked toward Mao Nanbei. I saw that relying only on agility, he had only managed to kill 5 or 6 python demons. And if this continued, we would definitely be worn down to death. So I signaled with my eyes for Mao Nanbei to go to the location I decided. In this form, although Medusa's hand's combat ability had greatly increased, lacking the head-shaped connector, it had also lost its regenerative ability. As long as I could produce a large area of spiritual flames to kill all the python demons, I could completely kill Medusa's hand. And I just happened to have such a skill. Taikshu Longxi Void Dragon Breath. This is the strongest innate attack skill of every dragon race. It deals massive area damage to the surroundings, combined with Comet Strike, a skill that can convert my health pool and all attributes into the required attributes for the current attack. However, after using it, I would be left at the brink of death. If I wasn't at a dead end, I would never use such a damaging move. At that moment, Mao Nanbei reached my side. The instant we met, I used a dragon claw to swat Mao Nanbei away. Facing over 200 python demons attacking from both sides, I stopped abruptly, spreading my legs wide. Instantly, blue flames exploded into every corner of the cave. The over 200 python demons didn't even have a chance to react before they were completely engulfed in the scorching heat. But watching the python demons being burned to charcoal, I felt no joy. Because after the heatwave completely dissipated, I still hadn't received the experience from Medusa's death. Just as I was warily scanning my surroundings, a golden python demon suddenly emerged from the rock wall on the ground. Opening its huge mouth, it aimed straight for my heart. It was so fast that I could barely see a blur. In my current state, if I got hit, I would definitely die. But just at the critical moment, Mao Nanbei, who had been hiding behind the rock, suddenly rushed over. He blocked with his body. A crunching sound of bones breaking was heard. The golden python demon bit Mao Nanbei's arm hard. His already low health directly dropped to single digits. Mao Nanbei endured the immense pain, using his remaining strength to tear the python demon into 3 or 4 pieces and knock them away. I checked with True Sight and found out that this was actually the core of Medusa's hand. What's more surprising was that in the end I was saved by this cat, whom I had always looked down on. I looked at his broken arm somewhat confused. Why did he save me? Logically, letting the core beast kill me, and then killing the core beast would be the best choice. Mao Nanbei pale-faced forced a smile. Didn't we agree? Kill this beast! I'll be the boss of the 2nd floor and you go to the 3rd. Besides, you saved me just now. I can't let you die. Mao Nanbei's naive words made me feel somewhat amused. Then thinking about the human's ungrateful behavior earlier, it seemed my previous human supremacy mindset had been... Then I walked up to Medusa's hand, stepped on and crushed its head, then picked it up and stuffed it into my mouth, chewed twice and swallowed. System main quest 50% complete. Skill points credited. Current level increased to LV21, satisfying purification conditions. Only when I heard the quest completion sound did I finally relax. I collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. At the same time, Mao Nanbei happily hugged me tightly, rubbing his face against me madly. I have to say, in human form, Mao Nanbei's bust was really impressive. Then I first used Focus and Heal to restore his injuries. After that, I looked around. You and I make such a great team. If you're willing to stay, Mao Nanbei said reluctantly, we'd be invincible on the 2nd floor. Meow, he paused, as if thinking of something, blushed deeply and shouted loudly, "You're very smart!" Meow, and I'm very strong. I'll be the queen of the second floor, and you'll be my strategist, Meow. I was a bit overwhelmed, not understanding why this cat suddenly proposed such a thing. I said, forget it. I still prefer the blue sky and the warm sun. With that, I stepped out and jumped directly down the tunnel. Mao Nanbei wanted to chase, but the tunnel already echoed with farewells. There's nothing left on the second floor that can threaten you. Farewell, Mao Nanbei, for him. The third floor tunnel might be a dead end, but for me, it was the only path to freedom. But the next second I regretted it. The first floor was a rocky cave. The second floor was a muddy burrow. What I never expected was that the third floor would be a vast snow-covered world. As far as the eye could see, ice and snow. The temperature was around minus 150 degrees. I quickly opened the second purification options. It was fine not to check, but when I did, I saw that the first three options were the same as last time. But what surprised me was that this time there was a fourth option. Purification Direction Mini Ice Dragon Rare Bloodline. In extreme cold conditions, it has a strong awareness of heat sources. But there's a small chance to unlock this purification direction. Trait skill Ice Immunity. Seeing my health dropping from the cold, I didn't hesitate to choose Mini Ice Dragon. Same as last time, accompanied by the familiar system notification, the class change was completed in the blink of an eye. My original black-purple scales fell off, replaced by a set of bright blue-white scales. Peace. My height also grew from 65 centimeters to 1.2 meters. But just as I was about to carefully check, the attribute increased from this evolution. From above the sky, suddenly came a familiar exclamation. I quickly looked up and saw a large butt rapidly approaching. It happened so suddenly that I had no chance to dodge. I was hit directly. Then a familiar voice said, "Didn't I tell you to dodge?" Meow refusing to accept my fate, I decided to fight my way out of the dungeon. Now I had arrived at the third floor of the dungeon. Unlike the first two floors, this was a white world of ice and snow. Even the monsters here were translucent ice-shaped, looking almost like ice sculptures. Their levels were all above 70. To break through the third floor as soon as possible, Mao Nanbei and I decided to hunt monsters here to level up. After more than 10 days of training, and after crazily hunting thousands of ice sculpture monsters, my level reached 8 after the second purification. Since each purification resets the level, I was now roughly equivalent to a dungeon, monster of level 88. And because Mao Nanbei was in my party, his level had increased from 51 to 62. But as my level gradually increased, I also noticed something strange about the canyon on the third floor. Since the monsters outside the canyon were lower level, I had been staying inside the canyon to gain experience. Although the blood snow wolves outside looked like ice sculptures, being semi-transparent with white flesh, they were real living creatures. But the snow wolves inside the canyon had pure ice bodies, not a drop of blood. Most critically, when I was excited and killed one earlier, it gave 200 experience. But now after level 8, I unlocked growth and double experience. Yet killing a snow wolf only gave 50 experience. This made me think of a terrifying possibility. Then, I led Mao Nanbei deeper into the canyon. Along the way, we encountered various monsters. But without exception, all monsters had ice bodies. No intelligence, no wisdom, no communication. The most extreme thing was that deep inside I actually saw a human with a pure ice body. This confirmed one thing for me. All the monsters in this canyon were summoned. And since the monsters in the canyon had almost no variety, that meant the creature that summoned them must itself be extremely powerful. It itself must be strong too. I suspected the boss of the third floor was the Ice Emperor. Mao Nanbei and I traveled for 3 days. During this time, by continuously killing summons, I rose to level 11 after the second purification. Mao Nanbei reached level 75. But leveling up restores status, not mental fatigue. Having barely rested, Mao Nanbei was staggering. Damn it, I can't go on. Can we take a break? The third floor boss is right ahead. We need to rest after killing him. If you're tired, you can rest first. In an hour, with your speed, you can catch up to me. Hearing this, Mao Nanbei's face fell. He clearly didn't want to leave me alone to rest, so he could only grit his teeth and keep up. Damn it, lately you've been a bit strange, Meow. Why are you so determined to kill him? Because I want to level up faster. Kill Leviathan and leave this damn place. My words were simple and clear no matter what I become. I'm still human at heart, yearning for a peaceful and quiet life. This dungeon is ultimately not my home. Mao Nanbei wanted to say something, but seeing my unwavering eyes, he could only purse his lips and force himself to follow. Just then the canyon ahead opened up. My steps also stopped abruptly. Why aren't you moving? Found the third floor boss. Following my gaze, Mao Nanbei saw, on a wide plain, a huge ice phoenix, sitting upright in the center of the ice field, as if waiting for them. Ice Phoenix, level 176 type, rare quasi-saint monster, extremely high breeding value. It was the first time I saw a monster with 5-digit numbers in all 4 attribute categories. Hard to believe this was only the 3rd floor king, but having only data without any skill usage, tactics and insight are the keys to victory. I stepped forward. To my surprise, the Ice Phoenix spoke first. "Why do you disturb my peace?" Seeing that it was willing to talk, I didn't waste words. "Below your nest is the entrance to the 4th floor. We want to go to the 4th floor. If you're willing to step aside, we don't have to fight to the death." The Ice Phoenix moved its crystal eyes then, after a long while, said, "I only wish to spend eternity here. Why must you disturb my peace?" At that I glanced at its nest, where there was a smaller Ice Phoenix corpse. The Ice Phoenix looked fondly at its child, as if it were still alive. I had little patience for this, and no interest in its story. I took a combat stance, but Mao Nanbei, seeing this, seemed reluctant. Fighting the Ice Phoenix was not out of sympathy or curiosity about its story, but simply because he saw no need to. However, at that moment I didn't care. Using the impulse power, I turned into a cyan cannonball and launched a fierce attack on the Ice Phoenix. I opened my mouth wide and fired 3 void dragon breaths in a row. Seeing this, Mao Nanbei had no choice but to follow. Turning into beast form, his 2 front paws waving continuously, instantly dozens of wind blades slashed out. Attacks rained down on the Ice Phoenix, directly reducing its health to 1/5. But I felt no joy. Instead, I grew anxious. Because from the start of the battle, the Ice Phoenix had not even counterattacked, nor moved a single muscle, sitting there like a log, unmoved by any attack. My keen combat intuition made me hesitate. However, just as I was about to use the last void dragon breath to finish it off, suddenly from more than a dozen cracks in the surrounding canyon, many ice monsters emerged. At the same time, the immovable Ice Phoenix suddenly moved. It spread its wings wide, and the surrounding ice monsters began to melt. Their bodies disintegrated inch by inch, turned into ice water and flowed into the Ice Phoenix, restoring its nearly empty health to full in an instant. In that moment, my heart sank to the bottom. The Ice Phoenix seemed no longer willing to play. It flapped its wings violently, creating an unimaginable hurricane. My limbs began to freeze from the cold, starting from the extremities. In just one breath, my torso was completely frozen. My consciousness quickly left my body. In a daze, I only heard a voice, "Damn it, run! You miscalculated. We can't beat him." After that, I didn't know anything. When I regained consciousness, I didn't know how long had passed. Opening my eyes, I found myself back in the canyon. In front of me was a strange monster that looked like a 200-year-old man, carrying my 2 legs, smiling and saying, "Awake!" Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the snowfield. A minute later, I lay on the ground panting heavily, still in shock. Looking up at the sky, I still couldn't believe that this huge, strange monster hadn't eaten me while I was unconscious. Not only that, it had used its massive body to cover me, waiting a day and night until I woke up. Could it be that there are good guys in the dungeon too? This kind of refreshed my worldview. Did you save me?" I asked tentatively. Hearing this, the bald-headed monster looked surprised. "You can use telepathy too." I nodded awkwardly, then continued. "But it wasn't me who saved you. It was your friend." Hearing this, I instantly thought of that cat. "What did you forget the cat?" "Cat! Mao Nanbei!" I was stunned. Fragments of memory flashed like a revolving lantern. I recalled that at the time, the Ice Phoenix's cold had frozen my entire body. It was then that Mao Nanbei suddenly stepped forward, rushed to my side, used all his strength to throw me out of the Ice Phoenix's nest. I vaguely remembered the very last moment, bathed in falling frost. Mao Nanbei gave me a smile over his shoulder. "Damn it, come save me, or I won't give you children." Remembering everything, I knelt on the ground. My heart felt as if gripped by an invisible hand. The crushing reality and sense of powerlessness instantly surged like a tide, engulfing me. If I had been a little more cautious, today's incident wouldn't have happened. If it weren't for Mao Nanbei, I would be the one dead by the Ice Phoenix's hands. That cat threw you to the top of the Icebone's periphery. I happened to pass by. Honestly, it's rare to see a monster of your level on the 3rd floor, so I brought you here. The old monster raised its head and said, "Back when I participated in the ancient god war, I also had a friend like that." Then it lowered its head and asked, "But you don't seem happy. Wasn't that cat your friend?" "He was my friend." "A stupid cat." The old monster looked puzzled. "He risked his life to save you. Why don't you seem affected?" "So what should I do, Cry?" Then I stood up and walked toward the ice lake. Seeing this, the old monster propped up its 3-kilometer-tall leg, like a wall blocking my way. "Why are you stopping me?" "Because I see a young monster going to his death. Stopping you is an elder's duty. Mao Nanbei died because of me. Avenging him is my duty. My voice was firm and resolute, full of determination. The old monster said nothing, just lowered its eyes slightly, seeing my dragon claws clenched tightly, cyan blue blood seeping from between the fingers. The old monster smiled knowingly, as if remembering something good. After a long while, it spoke. "What if I told you that your friend is not dead?" Hearing this, I turned around sharply, as if grabbing a lifeline. The old monster was smiling at me, didn't seem to be lying. The Ice Phoenix's puppets are extremely realistic, because its summoning technique is a special one called the Bone Flesh Divine Art. From the ancient god era to now, fewer than 10 beings have possessed this skill. It's one of the rarest skills in the world. Generally speaking, summoned creatures are weaker than the original, but this summoning technique can summon creatures stronger than the original, because its principle is not ordinary summoning, but plundering. It traps and kills the creature, keeps its soul but removes its consciousness, then reshapes a body from ice. So rather than a summon, it's more like a puppet. That's why killing its summons still gives experience points. The monsters you encountered in the Ice Valley are all the Ice Phoenix's summons. Note, the original text cut off at DS_2000, but I'll translate the last line anyway. Were all its puppets. Without exception, every summoned creature of Ice Emperors is made from ice. Now the third layer is entirely under Ice Emperor's control, except for some small fry. Anyone with even a little bit of strength has been turned into a summon by Ice Emperor. This shocking truth left me feeling almost hard to believe. But what does that have to do with Mao Nanbei still being alive? I asked in confusion. At that moment, the old beast continued speaking. The Fleshbone Divine Dissolve is indeed powerful, but its drawback is that it takes effect extremely slowly. It requires ice attribute to gradually replace the victim's body at the cellular level. Only then can the complete soul be preserved. With that cat's attributes, this process probably takes about 2 weeks. As long as you kill Ice Emperor within 2 weeks, that cat can be saved with healing magic. Hearing this, I instantly regained hope. The healer's death had already dealt me a huge blow. If Mao Nanbei also died, I would definitely feel guilty for the rest of my life. Now this news was like a shot of adrenaline to me. If saying that my recklessness caused Mao Nanbei to be captured, then rescuing him is my responsibility. Thank you, Senior. I know what to do now. The old beast laughed heartily. I've lived too long. It's rare to see a little bamboo dragon kid. So I saved you on a whim, just to pass the boredom. Hearing that, I was startled. You see, right now I should be a miniature dragon. The bamboo wrong bloodline had long been hidden due to the 2 evolutions. How did this old beast see through it? At that moment, I suddenly sensed something wrong. Because just now this beast said that in the third layer except for Small Fry, all monsters had been turned into puppets by Ice Emperor. But with such a huge body, the old beast didn't look like Small Fry at all. So how did he escape Ice Emperor's control? A flicker of insight passed through the old beast's eyes. As if seeing through my thoughts, he spoke. Don't you also have the rare skill Truth? That's a cheat skill. In the ancient times besides you, I've only seen a god possess it. Instead of doubting my strength, why don't you use Truth and find out? At this point, my shock was beyond words. I never expected that he even knew I had the Truth skill. That night I was rude. Calming myself, I raised my head and used Truth on this enormous strange beast. But the moment I saw its data, my vision went dark. My legs gave way, and I slumped to the ground. Because this bizarre-looking beast was actually a level far exceeding Leviathan, a super beast emperor. Target Babylon, level 413 type super divine beast. Who are you? My voice trembled uncontrollably. But Babylon just smiled and said nothing. He looked up at the blue sky, as if recalling some beautiful memory. He smiled gently. After a long while, he murmured, "Once I commanded 1,000,000 demons. In a split second, day and night turned to ash. Now I am alone, complete, pure willing to be nothing. I learned that the second final boss of the dungeon is Babylon. It turns out that when the gods first built the dungeon, they designed it as a dual structure. But later, because Babylon grew tired of fighting with others, and as his body gradually aged, he came to the third layer, which had the best environment. He left only the more powerful Leviathan to govern the dungeon. After hearing his brief explanation, I could only smile bitterly. I never expected that after clearing only half, I'd already met both final bosses. I don't know if that's lucky or unfortunate. But at least unlike Leviathan, Babylon can be communicated with and has no ill will. Senior, can I really defeat Ice Emperor and save Mao Nanbei? Babylon didn't answer immediately. The reason he and Leviathan were placed together as the final guardians of the Sichuan East Dungeon actually had no other reason. But Leviathan is the power, while Babylon is the wisdom. He thought for a moment and asked back, "This is a dungeon. Until now, how many monsters you've killed have levels lower than yours?" Babylon's gentle gaze made me feel a chill. This wasn't just kindness, but the concise statement of a wise man. After condensing thousands of words, I instantly understood the meaning hidden in his words. Babylon acknowledged the undeniable fact that he was ultimately a protector of the dungeon. An Ice Emperor was also a protector. He himself could be seen as a cleansing of the dungeon's monsters. But as the final boss, Babylon would absolutely not kill me. Otherwise, by using violence, I lowered my head and pondered for a long time, then stood up. Thank you, Senior. I understand. Then I turned and headed toward the Ice Valley. I only had 10 days. Excluding the time I was unconscious, there were 9 days left, and this time was definitely not wasted. I stood at the entrance of the Ice Valley, picked up a piece of ice ball weighing over 10 kilograms, gathered my chi, combined with the skill pulse, and threw it with all my strength deep into the Ice Valley. The immense power actually threw that ice ball with the force of a cannonball. Successive sonic booms sliced out heavy light beams, and finally, with a rumbling sound, it smashed into the ice ground thousands of meters away. The loud noise instantly enraged the ice puppets attached to the ice walls. In an instant, the 2,000 to 3,000 ice puppets lurking near the entrance all flew out. Seeing this overwhelming number, I smirked. You see, Ice Emperor can lead his ice puppets through the ice puppets he created. With this ability, as long as there are ice puppets in the valley, Ice Emperor can be said to be immortal, and all the monsters in the Ice Valley had been turned into ice puppets. Since that's the case, while depriving him of this ability, I can also level up myself. Why not? Before re-entering the Ice Valley, I spent 40 policy points to upgrade the evolution growth to level 2. This skill allows me to automatically gain 2 points of experience per minute when not in combat. Experience gained from kills becomes 4 times. I took a stance and hooked my finger at the ice puppets filling the sky. Within 9 days, you ice puppets will be the first to be exterminated. And so 6 days quickly passed. With the last purebred Kodo Beast puppet falling, I also collapsed to the ground exhausted. Notification: purebred Kodo Beasts have been exterminated. Extermination reward: 20 unlock points deposited. Total unlock points 416. Level increased to level 16. This is already the 11th type of ice puppet I've exterminated. I can't remember how many times I've reached my limit. The limit of my strength. With my current level, even if I kill the last 2 types, I can't gain another full level. But I have to kill them, because this not only completely deprives Ice Emperor of his immortality, but most importantly, I can accumulate 90 unlock points. To ensure victory, I need to unlock 2 skills. Meanwhile, deep in the Ice Valley, Ice Emperor looked at someone in an ice sphere in confusion. The 10 days are almost up. According to common sense, a level 75 monster like this should have had its internal organs dissolved by now. But the cat in the ice sphere has only about 20% skin and lungs corroded. The rest of the body shows almost no replacement. Ice Emperor could sense that even though this cat in the ice sphere was unconscious, deep in its consciousness, there remained a powerful emotion. This emotion kept its body active and prevented freezing, which slowed down the flesh-bone divine dissolves effect. But no matter how firm, it will eventually break down. At this moment, what appeared in Ice Emperor's eyes was not anxiety, but greed. For him, this was the best puppet. But just then, a voice suddenly broke the silence of the ice court. Ice Emperor's whole body trembled. He looked up, in disbelief at the dragon-shaped monster that had appeared in his sight. You have seen my power. Why do you still dare to come? In just 9 days, my killing intent had increased more than 10-fold. I looked coldly up at Ice Emperor with a proud gaze, and calmly said, "Didn't your mother teach you that raising protected animals is illegal? That's my question. Why do you still dare to come?" Ice Emperor's expression was no longer as contemptuous as last time. He was genuinely regarding me as a threat. 9 days ago, Ice Emperor was surprised that such a strong monster still existed in the 3rd layer, but in his eyes, I wasn't an opponent worth taking seriously. At best, I was just a bit stronger than normal small fry. But in just 9 days, he saw earth-shaking changes in this weak creature. At this time, I didn't know how long Mao Nanbei could hold on. Without wasting words, I took a step forward, turning into a counter-current shadow, rushing straight at Ice Emperor's face. I kicked Ice Emperor's face mercilessly. The collision even created an arc-shaped shockwave, tearing the ground like a guillotine. Snapping back from shock, Ice Emperor instantly became furious. His eyes blazed, and he opened his mouth to spit out a blast of icy breath. But as soon as the breath left his mouth, Ice Emperor was horrified to find that the little dragon that was right in front of him had disappeared as if teleported. "Up here, you mad woman!" My voice came from directly above. Ice Emperor quickly looked up, only to see that somehow I had jumped up nearly a kilometer into the sky. The temperature of the Taichu dragon breath gathering in my mouth was so high that space itself was distorted. Last time I chanted 4 Taichu dragon breaths, Ice Emperor relied on his immortality and treated our all-out fight as a clown show, not taking it seriously at all. But this time was different. His sixth sense, untouched for 1,000 years, screamed loudly. If he didn't defend and took it head-on like last time, even if he didn't die, he would lose all combat power. In 1,000th of a second, Ice Emperor mobilized an unimaginable amount of mana and opened layer after layer of ice barriers above him. He opened 5 layers. Above Ice Emperor, an indestructible defense had formed. Taichu sky-piercing blast. From my mouth, a pillar of fire hundreds of meters long erupted. A giant firestone, burning the entire sky into a fiery red. The first barrier hadn't even contacted before it was instantly evaporated. Then the second, third, fourth. Ice Emperor's face changed dramatically. As the last frost barrier was instantly pierced, the giant firestone, together with the ice tide, pierced straight through Ice Emperor's body. In the Ice Valley, Ice Emperor's most pitiful screams rang out. That single strike reduced Ice Emperor's health by half. If it weren't for the 5 layers of frost barriers, weakening most of the power, this attack would have been enough to kill him. How did you become so strong? Facing Ice Emperor writhing in pain on the ground, I did not let down my guard at all. Instead, I assumed a full power stance. That attack just now was not simply Taichu Dragon Breath diffused and then concentrated for power. It was an advanced talent skill I unlocked, with a full 300 unlock points. The souvenir of Taichu Dragon System. No, it was Taichu Sky Piercing Blast style. A dragon race skill that even gods cannot possess. Strongest punch. Ice Emperor wailed in pain on the ground. He looked at me in disbelief. Even with great skills, your power is far inferior to mine. Why can a monster of your level have such skills? You should be dead! Just check it yourself, I said calmly. Skill appraisal is a common skill. Its effect is equivalent to a simplified truth. It doesn't have the other abilities of truth, but it can be used like truth, to observe others' levels and attributes. Using appraisal at the start of battle to judge the opponent is a common combat practice. Because you saw my attributes 9 days ago. You didn't check this time. But today, seeing my attributes again, Ice Emperor's pupils contracted, especially when he saw one of the skill trees. He was greatly shocked. Bloodline optimization. Adjust the owner's physiological structure to the optimal and complete state. All attributes permanently increased by 50%. All increase effects, including future level up attribute increases, are included. Also, when facing enemies higher level than yourself, provides level compensation to offset level suppression, up to 40 levels of compensation. In the skill tree, together with Taichu's Sky Piercing Blast, they belong to the highest level skill group. Cost 200 unlock points. This is an attribute boost comparable to 1 evolution. The 40 level compensation makes level suppression from Ice Emperor negligible. Finally, Super Regeneration, a skill I had refused to unlock before, now came in handy. Cost 5 unlock points. As long as there is no damage or attack for more than 10 seconds, I will slowly restore my own health and mana. A total of 505 unlock points, almost my entire fortune, gave me the capital to fight Ice Emperor. I looked indifferently at Ice Emperor rolling on the ground. Don't you want to destroy the peace I hold dear, I said. Ice Emperor growled in anger, spread his wings wide, and a fierce gale split the entire valley. Facing my earth-shattering changes, Ice Emperor had to get serious. He planned to use the puppets in the valley to recover, boost his attributes, and then overwhelm the opponent with numbers. That was why Ice Emperor was invincible in this 3rd layer. But unfortunately, after a full 10 seconds, not a single ice puppet had entered the vicinity of the ice court. Strange, isn't it? I tilted my head and said with a sinister smile. Ice Emperor only then realized something was terribly wrong. The Fleshbone Divine Dissolve is different from ordinary summoning. The ice puppets it creates have genuine life. Therefore, controlling these puppets requires immense mental power. Even if one can control a large number, only simple commands can be given. Most rely on the puppet's own instincts, not to mention sensing whether the puppets are attacked. There are at least 300,000 ice puppets in this valley. To actually sense the condition of each, one would need a perception attribute over 3 million. But even Leviathan couldn't have such high perception, so you couldn't possibly notice that I killed these ice puppets. My words made Ice Emperor feel like falling into an ice pit. He never imagined that this little dragon had seen through the biggest flaw of the Fleshbone Divine Dissolve and had actually killed all the hundreds of thousands of ice puppets and monsters in the valley. The ice puppets are indeed strong, and you are indeed qualified to rule the 3rd layer, but you are too obsessed with the past. I once had a similar experience, where relatives died before my eyes. Babylon told me your story. Your child's death was indeed a tragedy. But the reason I can defeat you is that my eyes are always set forward. The blood of my relatives forged me. You, on the other hand, are bound by your relatives. Hearing the name Babylon, Ice Emperor's body trembled. His gaze gradually became fierce. Where is that old bastard? Ice Emperor flapped his wings, gathering unimaginable amounts of mana into both wings. His frozen wings emitted a dazzling rainbow-colored light. Seeing this, I became serious, knowing that the next attack would be Ice Emperor's full power. As the light on his wings reached its limit, he swung his wings fiercely. An unimaginable torrent of mana surged out. Wherever it passed, even the air froze into substance. Meanwhile, having already used super regeneration to fully recover, I also unleashed the strongest attack of my life. Comet Strike Taikshu Sky. The dragon seemed to spit out a star. Unimaginable high temperature melted the world that should have been frozen. On one side, the entire space was freezing. On the other side, the millennium-old glaciers were melting. Cold air and flames erupted, emitting an unimaginably dazzling radiance. Once upon a time, at the beginning of the dungeon, it was still a chaotic land. In the ancient times, the captured monsters fought over the territories of 5 layers in brutal battles. In the tens of thousands of years of struggle, Phoenix was born. He single-handedly quelled the battles of an entire layer. In this dungeon of only 5 layers, he carved out a zone of peace. Once birds sang and flowers bloomed here. Warmth filled the entire land. Even Babylon, one of the final bosses, came to the 3rd layer to enjoy a peaceful life. Later, the Phoenix used his Nirvana ability to periodically absorb the world's hatred, throw himself into fire, and be reborn from the ashes, taking the hatred away from this world. Until one day the Phoenix had a child. The child fulfilled the mother's duty, and together they managed the paradise of the 3rd layer. However, what the Phoenix mother and child did not know was that hatred and greed can never be completely erased. The master of the dungeon, Leviathan, allowed the monsters of the dungeon to be like monsters, to keep evolving and eliminating through slaughter, a cycle. So he came to the 3rd layer, killed the Phoenix's child, and used his skill tyrant to take away the intelligence of all monsters on the 3rd layer, making them lose their sanity, reduced to killing machines. The Phoenix still remembered her child's last words to her: "If only this peace could last forever. If only we could break the dungeon's curse." Babylon, you are a master of the dungeon just like Leviathan. Why did you let Leviathan destroy the 3rd layer? The paradise I painstakingly built, the Phoenix had asked back then. And Babylon's reply was only one sentence. I recalled the story Babylon had told me. Facing the dying Ice Emperor, my furious gaze gradually softened, revealing the deepest humanity hidden within. At the moment of death, Ice Emperor fixed his eyes on me. I just wanted things to be like before. Everyone living in peace. No more killing in the world. But what you did is even more cruel than killing. I don't want the world to end up as Leviathan wishes. I just want to protect the peace of the 3rd layer, to sever the curse that binds monsters to the dungeon. But what you did is exactly what Leviathan wants most. You yourself have become the kind of monster Leviathan desires. Ice Emperor closed his eyes, but he was not dead yet. He just didn't want to reveal any more of his inner thoughts at the last moment. Looking at Ice Emperor, I fell into thought. Until the very end, when Ice Emperor turned to ice, I did not speak another word. I will cut this bond for you. I couldn't bring myself to say that, because it's not realistic. Even if I could eventually kill Leviathan, after I leave the dungeon, another monster will take its place. I'm sorry. I can't achieve such grand dreams. A grand dream would just make me a failure. What I hope for is simply that no one close to me leaves me anymore. In the end, I still spoke out my true feelings. I don't know if it was an illusion, but the moment I said that, the expression on the already dead Ice Emperor's face showed a trace of unwillingness. It seemed to vanish like smoke, replaced by a hint of bloody smell. With a crashing sound, the corpse of the Ice Emperor completely shattered into pieces on the ground. Castle level has been upgraded. The main quest for the LV period has been completed. Bus unlock point reward has been credited. With the death of the Ice Emperor, the glacier began to collapse. The temperature also rose noticeably, moving my field of view. I saw in a corner not far away, Mao Nanbei's ice block frozen in ice. His aura was very weak, but confirmed that Mao Nanbei was still alive. I finally breathed a sigh of relief, just as I was about to go over to untie the ice block from Mao Nanbei. Suddenly, it seemed like something was in the debris of the Ice Emperor's corpse. Walking, curious, I stepped forward and picked it up to take a look. Found it felt warm and smooth like jade. It was an egg-sized snowball emitting blue light. Isn't this a divine fusion? While I was puzzled, Babylon's voice suddenly sounded beside me. This is not an ordinary divine fusion. It's a soldier. Emperor spent 1,000 years of cultivation refining the Nirvana soldier realm carrying his unfulfilled obsession, also hiding the last hope of the third layer. Babylon's voice carried a hint of vicissitude. His massive body slowly emerged from the weapon. Those eyes that had seen through the world were now fixed on the blue snowball in my hand. I clenched the Nirvana ice crystal, feeling a warm coldness envelop me, spreading throughout my body, without the bone-piercing chill of the Ice Emperor. Instead, it carried a soft vitality. Even the remaining battle wounds on my body were slowly healing. What is this thing for? I looked up and asked. My gaze still didn't leave the ice block that sealed Mao Nanbei. My heartbeat involuntarily quickened. It can suppress the blockage of the Bone God artifact. It can help that cat fully recover, and even allow his bloodline to enter. Babylonia slowly bent down, his huge head almost touching the ground. More importantly, it can temporarily conceal your dragon-slaying aura, so that Leviathan can't easily sense your presence. You are going to the 4th layer. This thing is essential for the 5th layer. My heart stirred and I hesitated no more, clenching the Nirvana ice crystal. I quickly walked to the ice egg. The moment the ice crystal touched the ice egg, blue light suddenly burst forth, wrapping the entire ice egg like a tide. The originally hard ice layer visibly revealed Mao Nanbei curled up inside. His fur was still a bit messy. The corner of his mouth still had a hint of stubbornness not yet pushed away. Though his face was pale, I could clearly feel his steady breathing. Mao Nanbei, I carefully used my dragon claw to touch his ear. The next second, he suddenly opened his eyes. Amber pupils first showed confusion, then erupted with ecstasy. Then a layer of mist formed. He grabbed my horn. Grinding his teeth, he cursed, "You bastard. You came to save me only now. I thought you were going to abandon me and go become the boss of Killer Ridge yourself." The familiar cursing voice came. My heart, that had been tense for 9 days, finally completely relaxed. I couldn't help but smile slightly. What's the rush? Didn't I come? Besides, without you, this cat Mao Nanbei, who would I show off being the boss to? Mao Nanbei was stunned for a moment. His ears drooped slightly. A blush rose on his cheeks. He quickly let go of my dragon horn, turned around, mumbled vaguely, "Who wants to be your subordinate? I just don't want to owe you a favor. When I'm fully recovered, I'll go with you to kill the 4th layer boss. It's not because I want to mess around with you." Babylon watched us openly, let out a hearty laugh. Youth is truly wonderful. Alright, you should set off now. The environment on the 4th layer is much more dangerous than the 3rd. The boss, the solitary prison marquis, is skilled in concealment. And fear you must be careful, he paused. The Nirvana ice crystal, besides concealing aura, when encountering fatal danger, can release a defensive power of the ice shield once. Remember, don't use it lightly unless absolutely necessary. I nodded solemnly. Absorbed the Nirvana ice crystal into my body. Mao Nanbei also fully recovered his spirit. His level had quietly risen to 78. Let's go to the 4th layer. Mao Nanbei leaped onto my back. I spread my dragon wings and flew into the depths of the ice valley. As we got closer, the surrounding temperature gradually rose. Snow and ice gradually disappeared, replaced by pitch-black, damp caves. The air was filled with a pungent, rotten stench, and the aura of deadly poison. The moment we stepped into the 4th layer, the scene before us completely changed. This was an endless underground bamboo forest. Towering poisonous trees blocked out the sky. Sticky poisonous threads were wrapped around the branches. The ground was covered with bubbling toxic pools. Every time a bubble burst, it released a pale purple poisonous gas. The poison here is so strong, meow. Good thing I have poison resistance. Mao Nanbei lay on my back. His amber pupils vigilantly scanned the surroundings. The lair of the solitary prison marquis should be in the deepest part of the poison bamboo forest. His spider silk is not only poisonous, but can also bind movement. We need to be careful. I activated the dragon chasing force to form an invisible barrier to keep the poison out. At the same time, I used bravery to scout the surroundings. The levels of monsters on the 4th layer were all above 100, mostly highly poisonous monsters, hidden among the poison bamboo. A moment of carelessness could trigger a surprise attack. We moved forward cautiously, trying to avoid large groups of monsters. When encountering lone monsters, I would take the lead. Mao Nanbei would take the opportunity to strike. In just one day, we had hunted dozens of giant poisonous monsters. My level increased to second purification level 18. Mao Nanbei rose to level 80. Unlocked new skill. Venomous Stinger. Night fell. The poison bamboo forest became even more dangerous. Countless pairs of worried eyes shone in the dark. Strange roars came from the bamboo forest. We found a hidden cave to rest temporarily. Mao Nanbei curled up beside me. I practiced skills to digest experience. Meanwhile, I felt the power of the Nirvana ice crystal, trying to merge it with the dragon chasing force. Hey bastard, do you think the 4th layer boss, the solitary prison marquis, could be stronger than the soldier emperor? Mao Nanbei suddenly spoke. His voice carried a hint of worry. I opened my eyes and patted his head. No matter how strong he is, We must win. Only by killing him can we go to the 5th level. Only then can we kill Leviathan and leave this place. With me here, I won't let you fall into danger again. Mao Nanbei's ears twitched. He didn't say anything, just leaned closer to me, his 2 paws tightly holding my hand. The next morning, we set off again. The deeper we went, the denser the poison became. The monsters also grew stronger. Even those above level 150 appeared. Their bodies were massive. Their spider silk was sticky. Their poison extremely potent. Once entangled, there was almost no chance of breaking free. Watch out, Mao Nanbei suddenly shouted. He leaped down. A wind blade, in an instant, hit a nether spider hidden behind a poison tree. Cluster. The nether venom spider screeched in pain and lunged at us. I immediately spread my dragon wings and soared into the air, spitting out Taishu dragon breath. Cyan flames scorched the spider silk. The nether venom spider quickly curled into a hard shell, blocking the attack. Then it sprayed more spider silk, attacking its eyes. That's the weak point, Mao Nanbei shouted. I activated the pulse skill. Transforming into a cyan streak of light, I charged straight at the nether venom spider's eyes. My dragon claw pierced deeply. Black venom gushed out. The nether venom spider let out a piercing scream. Soon it fell to the ground lifeless. Bastard, you're amazing, Meow! Mao Nanbei jumped beside me. It seems we still have hope after killing the Venom Spider Queen. I smiled. Not feeling proud, this is only the beginning. We continued forward, encountering more and more nether venom spiders. Even ran into a swarm of level 200 poison bats. They were numerous, extremely fast, and could emit deadly sonic waves, putting us in a tough fight. The battle lasted a whole day. Both Mao Nanbei and I were covered in wounds. Our mana was almost depleted, but we didn't give up. Relying on their tacit cooperation and indomitable will, finally broke through the encirclement, arriving at the deepest part of the bamboo forest before a huge spider cave. The entrance of the spider cave was blocked by thick spider silk, emitting a strong poisonous aura. I activated the dragon chasing force. A cyan energy wave blasted out, tearing apart the spider silk at the entrance. This is the place. The solitary prison. Marquis should be inside. Meow. Mao Nanbei's face turned serious. We need to be careful. I was the first to step inside the spider cave. It was pitch black. Only the spider silk overhead emitted a faint fluorescent glow. The ground was covered in sticky spider silk and remains of monsters. After walking about a few hundred meters, the spider cave suddenly opened up. A huge cavern appeared before us. In the center of the cavern, massive venom spider was coiled on a web. Its body diameter exceeded 10 meters. Its body was covered in black patterns, adorned with purple venom spines. Its 8 enormous spider legs were razor sharp. Its eyes were blood red, emitting a cold murderous glare. This is the 4th layer boss, the solitary prison Marquis, level 230 rare ultra high rank monster. Didn't expect. 2 little ants dare to enter my lair. The solitary prison, Marquis' voice was hoarse and calculating. Looks like you're courting death. As soon as it finished speaking, countless strands of spider silk shot toward us. I immediately lifted Mao Nanbei into the air, spat out Taishu dragon breath, burning the spider silk. Mao Nanbei, you handle tying him down. I'll attack his weak point, I shouted, and charged straight at the solitary prison Marquis' eyes. Got it, Meow! Mao Nanbei turned into a silver streak of light, circling the solitary prison Marquis, continuously releasing wind blades attacking his spider legs. The solitary prison Marquis was enraged, swung his spider legs toward Mao Nanbei, at the same time spat out more spider silk. Mao Nanbei dodged agilely. Wind blades and venom stingers kept hitting the spider legs, slowing his movements. I took the chance to rush in front of the solitary prison Marquis. My dragon claw stabbed deep into his eye. Purple venom gushed out, corroding my scales. Intense pain shot through me. Damned ant! The solitary prison Marquis let out a piercing scream, swung his spider legs toward me. I quickly retreated, activating hyper-regeneration to heal. The power of the Nirvana Ice Crystal neutralized the poison. The solitary prison Marquis was completely enraged. All his venom spines stood on end, spitting out thick purple venom. I immediately activated the dragon chasing force to form a solid barrier, infusing it with the power of the Nirvana Ice Crystal. Bastard, this can't go on. Our mana will run out eventually. Meow. Mao Nanbei exchanged glances with me. I knew we had to finish this quickly. Activated the truth skill to scan. Found a white spot on his abdomen. That's where the defense is weakest. The core part, but it was tightly guarded by his legs, very hard to hit. Mao Nanbei helped me distract his spider legs. I'm going to attack his abdomen. I gathered all my mana into my dragon claw. Unlocked Comet Strike. Understood, Meow. Mao Nanbei suddenly sped up. Wind blades and venom stingers rained down on the spider legs, deliberately luring the solitary prison Marquis to swing his legs. The solitary prison Marquis enraged, gradually relaxed the defense of his abdomen. I seized the opportunity, turned into a cyan cannonball charging straight at his belly claws, with Comet Strike 1 stabbed deeply into the white spot. The solitary prison Marquis let out a desperate roar. The dragon claw pierced through. Black liquid gushed out. His body convulsed violently. The 8 spider legs gradually lost strength. He collapsed to the ground lifeless. The announcement sounded. Level increased to second purification level 19. Unlock point reward 50. Total unlock points 546. Main quest activated. Kill the final boss of the 5th layer Leviathan. Reward 100. Unlock points. Unlock the ultimate form of the bamboo dragon. I collapsed to the ground, panting heavily. Mao Nanbei landed beside me, his face full of excitement. Bastard, we won! We can finally go to the 5th level, meow, I smiled, patting his head. Rest a bit, then we'll go to the 5th level and kill Leviathan. Leave this place. We rested in the spider cave for a day and a night. My level rose to second purification level 19. Mao Nanbei rose to level 85. Unlocked new skill solitary prison burst. After resting, we headed deeper into the spider cave. That was the entrance to the 5th layer. The moment we stepped into the 5th layer, the scene before me utterly shocked me. This was an endless darkness. Dark clouds filled the sky. Purple lightning flashed from time to time, illuminating the distant majestic black Castle Peak. A huge silhouette was faintly visible, emitting a suffocating pressure. That's Leviathan. Mao Nanbei's voice trembled. I nodded. That's the final boss of the Eastern Sichuan underground city Leviathan, level 355 ultra-high rank monster, also the one who killed the Soldier Emperor back then, the culprit who destroyed the peace of the 3rd layer, and the last obstacle for me to leave the underground city. We carefully advanced toward the castle, encountering no monsters along the way, obviously under Leviathan's pressure. They didn't dare to show themselves. The closer we got to the castle, the stronger the pressure became. Mao Nanbei tightly held my neck, yet still did not retreat. Arriving at the castle gate, Leviathan's figure finally clearly appeared before us. Its body length exceeded 100 meters, covered in black scales head, huge horns on top, eyes blood red emitting cold murderous intent. Didn't expect 2 little dragons could actually make it here. Leviathan's voice was low and majestic. It seems that old Babylon is meddling again. Leviathan, I will kill you and leave this underground city. I raised my head. The dragon-chasing force erupted completely. Cyan light enveloped my whole body. The power of the Nirvana ice crystal merged with the dragon-chasing force, forming a powerful energy barrier. Kill me with you, Leviathan mocked. A discarded dragon egg abandoned by the dragon clan, and a mutated cat dare to act recklessly before me. Today I'll turn you both into my food. As soon as it finished speaking, Leviathan swung its massive claw toward us. I immediately lifted Mao Nanbei into the air, spat out Taishu dragon breath. The fire collided with the giant claw. The huge impact sent us flying backward. We crashed heavily to the ground, spitting blood. Mao Nanbei struggled to get up. Bastard. Can we beat him? I also struggled to my feet, my eyes still firm. We can't give up. I activated hyper regeneration to heal, invested all my unlock points into skill upgrades. Level, under battle pressure, broke through to second purification level 20. Unlocked 3rd purification qualification. The announcement sounded. Selection of purification direction bamboo dragon. Press bamboo dragon, dip bamboo dragon. Without hesitation, I chose dark bamboo dragon. Fusion with the power of the Nirvana ice crystal. Can unleash firepower, and also use ice attribute, counteracting Leviathan's dark attributes. Speed also greatly increased. Purification began. Powerful energy burst from within. My body began to change. Body size increased from 60 centimeters to 1 meter. Dark purple scales became harder. Covered with cyan patterns, wings became wider. Eyes turned ice blue. Dragon chasing force and Nirvana ice crystal perfectly merged, forming ice fire dual attribute power. Purification complete, level reset. Set to 3rd purification level 1, equivalent to a level 150 monster in the underground city. All attributes greatly increased. Unlocked ultimate skill Ice and Fire Duel. Evolved. A flash of surprise in Leviathan's eyes. But even evolved, you're still an ant. Leviathan attacked again. Its huge tail swept toward us. I lifted Mao Nanbei into the air. Unleashed Ice and Fire Duel. Cyan flames and blue ice intertwined into an energy wave, blasting toward the tail. A loud boom. Leviathan's tail was hit. Many black scales fell off. Damned ant. Leviathan spat flames. Wherever the black energy wave passed, the ground was corroded into large pits. Mao Nanbei hid behind me. I activated Ice Fire. Both of us simultaneously released the defensive power of the Nirvana ice crystal, forming an Ice Fire dual barrier. It trembled violently. My bones creaked. Blood trickled from the corner of my mouth, but I held on stubbornly. Determination flashed in Mao Nanbei's eyes. He flew behind Leviathan, unleashed solitary prison burst purple venom domain. Leviathan simultaneously released wind blades, attacking its back with the venom. Leviathan was suppressed, slowed down, turned and swung its claw toward Mao Nanbei. No, I abandoned the barrier. Turned into a streak of light, rushed to Mao Nanbei's side to protect him. At the same time, unleashed ice and fire dual wing strike. I was hit by the claw, crashed heavily to the ground, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. Scales fell off. Bones broke. The searing pain almost made me lose consciousness, but I held Mao Nanbei tightly. Bastard! Mao Nanbei hugged me. Tears fell. Don't die, meow! We have to leave this place together. Surge of powerful energy in my heart. I cannot die. I still have to kill Leviathan and take Mao Nanbei away. For the sake of Mother, for the Soldier Emperor, for all those dead monsters, sever the curse of the underground city. I activated hyper-regeneration, poured all the power of the Nirvana ice crystal into my body. Wounds healed, broken bones reconnected. Mana exploded again. Level instantly rose to third purification level 5. Equivalent to a level 180 monster. I stood up. My ice blue eyes flickered with cold, murderous intent. Walked toward Leviathan. A trace of contempt flashed in Leviathan's eyes. Your time of death is here, Leviathan. I spread my wings, turning into a streak of light interwoven with ice and fire. Charged straight at Leviathan. Unleashed the ultimate skill. Ice and fire. 2 poles, cyan flames, and blue ice intertwined into a huge beam of energy, blasting toward Leviathan. Leviathan's face contorted, quickly activated dark power to form a barrier, but the energy beam was too powerful. The barrier was instantly pierced. Leviathan let out a desperate shriek. A beam of light hit his body. Black scales were scorched and frozen. His body twitched violently. The blood-red eyes lost their luster. The massive body crashed to the ground lifeless. The sound of a passage opened. Killed the final boss of Layer 5 Leviathan. Main quest completed. Reward 100 unlock points. Total unlock points 646. Unlock the ultimate form of the bamboo cage. The curse of the dungeon is lifted. All monsters gain freedom. You can choose to stay in the dungeon or go outside. As Leviathan died, the dark clouds gradually dispersed. Sunlight fell on the wasteland. The curse of the dungeon was finally lifted. The monsters walked out of their hiding places one after another, cheering towards the sky. I collapsed to the ground. A smile appeared on my face. Mao Nanbei threw himself into my arms. Tears fell again. Dog thing, we won. We can leave this place, bird. I touched his head. Yes, we can leave this place. Babylon's figure appeared before us. He looked at Leviathan's corpse. A relieved smile appeared on his face. Good children, you did it. You not only cut down the ancestor of the dungeon, but also fulfilled the unfinished wish of the Soldier Emperor. Senior, how do we leave? I asked. Babylon pointed to the distant sky. After Leviathan died, the passage has opened. You just need to fly toward the sky and you can leave this place. He paused. The outside world has humans, monsters in bustling cities, also dangerous forests. You must remember, no matter where you go, hold fast to your true nature. I nodded solemnly. Thank you, Senior. We will. Mao Nanbei and I stood up and looked toward the sky. A dazzling light gate appeared in the distance. That is the castle leading to the outside world. I spread my dragon wings. With Mao Nanbei, I leaped and flew toward the light gate. At the moment we passed through the light gate, warm sunlight fell upon us. There was no more deadly poison or rotting insects in the air, only the fresh fragrance of flowers and the smell of earth. The scene before us completely changed. An endless grassland, distant rolling mountains. The sky was azure. White clouds dotted. Birds flew freely. I finally fought my way out of the dungeon. We flew into the distance. The road ahead is full of hope. Our story has only just begun.